The unexpected invitation. Commander Elena Rodriguez was reviewing supply reports when the impossible happened. Deep Space Station Alpha, humanity's farthest outpost at the edge of the solar system, detected an incoming transmission that defied every law of physics she knew. The signal traveled faster than light, carried more data than Earth's entire internet, and somehow translated itself into perfect English before reaching their receivers. Elena rushed to the main communications center where her team stood frozen around their screens. Lieutenant Park, her communications officer, looked up with wide eyes. "Commander, you need to see this. The transmission. It's from something calling itself the Sovereign Alliance." The main display activated, showing a figure that made Elena's breath catch. The being was tall and elegant, with scales that shifted between silver and gold, eyes like liquid mercury, and a presence that commanded immediate attention. When it spoke, its voice carried the weight of ancient authority. "Greetings, people of the third planet of Sol. I am Ambassador Cathfar of the Sovereign Alliance, representing 500 civilized species across this galaxy. Your species has reached the minimum threshold for space travel and basic energy manipulation. We extend to you an unprecedented opportunity." Elena felt her heart racing. First contact. The moment humanity had dreamed about for centuries was happening at her remote station, not at some grand ceremony on Earth. She activated the recording systems and sent an emergency transmission to Earth Command. The alien continued speaking. "The Sovereign Alliance governs galactic civilization, maintaining peace and order among member species for over 10,000 Earth years. We offer your species the chance to join this great community. But know this: membership is not granted freely." Another figure appeared beside Cathfar, this one seemingly made of living crystal that pulsed with inner light. Its voice resonated like musical chimes. "I am Scholar Zixandra, Keeper of the Trials. In our long history, we have extended this invitation to 847 species. Only 37 have proven worthy of membership." Elena's mind raced with the implications. Humanity wasn't the first species to be contacted, and the success rate was disturbingly low. She activated the station's communication array to establish real-time contact with Earth while continuing to listen. "Your species will face 3 trials," Cathfar explained. "The trial of science, to prove your understanding of universal principles. The trial of culture, to demonstrate social stability and wisdom. The trial of defense, to show you can protect yourselves and contribute to galactic security. You have 30 Earth days to complete all 3 trials." Scholar Zixandra's crystal form flickered with what might have been amusement. "Most species fail within the first week. Those who fail are classified as protected primitives and forbidden from leaving their star system for 1,000 years. Choose carefully." Elena found her voice. "Commander Elena Rodriguez of Earth's Deep Space Command. We accept your challenge." Both aliens seemed surprised by the immediate response. Cathfar's scaled features shifted into what might have been a frown. "You speak for your entire species." "I speak for humanity's desire to reach for the stars," Elena replied. "Our leaders will confirm this decision. But I know my people. We don't back down from challenges." Within hours, the transmission reached Earth, and the planet erupted into controlled chaos. President Chenwei, a former physicist turned world leader, assembled Earth's greatest minds in an emergency session at the Global Defense Council headquarters in Geneva. Dr. Marcus Thompson arrived first, still wearing his laboratory coat from the Particle Accelerator facility in Colorado. The 50-year-old physicist had spent his career pushing the boundaries of quantum mechanics and had 3 Nobel Prizes to show for it. His wild gray hair and intense green eyes made him look like a mad scientist from old movies, but his mind was sharp as a laser. General Sarah Kim strode into the conference room with military precision. At 45, she was the youngest general in Earth's unified defense force, famous for winning impossible battles through unconventional strategies. Her black hair was pulled back severely, and her dark eyes missed nothing. She had studied every military conflict in human history and found ways to apply ancient tactics to modern warfare. Dr. Amara Okafor entered quietly, carrying a tablet filled with preliminary analysis of the alien transmission. The brilliant xenobiologist from Nigeria had spent years preparing for this moment, developing theories about alien psychology and culture. Her warm brown eyes held both excitement and concern as she considered the implications of what they had learned. President Chen Wei looked around the table at Earth's assembled experts. 30 days to prove we deserve a place among the stars. The aliens expect us to fail. What do we know about these trials? Dr. Thompson spoke first, his voice excited despite the circumstances. The trial of science is intriguing. They mentioned universal principles, which suggests they have a standardized understanding of physics. But what if our understanding is different? What if we see solutions they've missed? General Kim leaned forward. The military trial concerns me less than their attitude. Did you notice how dismissive they were? They've watched 800 species fail. That suggests either the trials are impossibly difficult or they're designed to eliminate candidates. Dr. Okafor had been quiet, studying her tablet. I've been analyzing their language patterns and body language. Ambassador Cathvar showed subtle signs of contempt when he looked at our space station. Scholar Zixandra displayed what I interpret as boredom. They genuinely expect us to fail quickly. President Chen Wei nodded thoughtfully. Then we need to do something they don't expect, something that challenges their assumptions about us. The next few days brought a flurry of activity as Earth prepared for the trials. Deep Space Station Alpha was converted into humanity's testing ground, with the most advanced equipment Earth could provide rushed to the remote outpost. The best minds from every field worked around the clock to understand what they were facing. Dr. Thompson discovered something interesting in the aliens' preliminary data about the science trial. They provided sample problems from previous tests, he told the team via video conference. The mathematics is elegant but incredibly complex. Most species seem to approach these problems by building bigger computers or developing more sophisticated algorithms. What's wrong with that approach? Asked Dr. Okafor. Thompson grinned. Nothing, except it's exactly what they expect. Every solution in their database follows the same pattern, more complexity to solve complex problems. But what if we solved them with elegant simplicity instead? General Kim was having similar thoughts about the military trial. The sample scenarios showed massive fleet battles with thousands of ships following rigid formations. Every successful species had demonstrated their ability to build powerful weapons and coordinate large forces. It's like they're still fighting wars from 10,000 years ago, she told her staff. All brute force and overwhelming numbers. Has no one ever shown them guerrilla tactics? Asymmetric warfare, the art of winning without fighting. Dr. Okafor made the most disturbing discovery of all. She had analyzed cultural data from successful alliance species and found a troubling pattern. They're all remarkably similar, she reported to President Chen Wei. Rigid hierarchies, unified governments, homogeneous populations. Every successful species seems to have eliminated diversity and dissent. That explains their low success rate, the president replied. They're not testing for capability. They're testing for conformity. As the first week passed, the aliens established a monitoring station near Earth to observe humanity's preparations. Ambassador Cathvar and Scholar Zixandra took turns making dismissive comments about human efforts. Look at them scurrying about like insects, Cathvar observed as he watched Earth's frantic preparations. They seem to think enthusiasm can compensate for inadequacy. Scholar Zixandra's crystal form pulsed with ancient wisdom. In 10 millennia of testing, I have seen this pattern countless times. The younger species always believe they will be different. They never are. But something was different about humanity's approach, something the aliens failed to notice. While other species had tried to impress the Alliance with displays of power and uniformity, humans were doing something unprecedented. They were questioning the tests themselves. Commander Elena Rodriguez received regular updates from Earth as the trials approached. Each report showed humanity taking an approach that would have baffled previous candidates. Instead of building bigger weapons, they were studying the psychology of warfare. Instead of developing more complex mathematics, they were exploring the beauty of simple solutions. Instead of creating unified conformity, they were celebrating their diversity as a strength. "Are we ready?" President Chen Wei asked during the final briefing. Dr. Thompson nodded confidently. "We're not ready the way they expect us to be ready. We're ready to surprise them." General Kim smiled grimly. "They're about to learn that humans don't play by anyone else's rules." Dr. Okafor looked up from her cultural analysis. "I think we're about to teach the galaxy something new about what it means to be civilized." As the 30th day dawned, the aliens prepared to witness another species fail their ancient trials. They had seen it happen hundreds of times before, but they had never seen anything like humanity. The stage was set for a confrontation that would change the galaxy forever. Earth was about to show 500 species that sometimes the student can teach the teacher, and that the newest voice in the conversation might have the most important things to say. The trials were about to begin, and the galaxy would never be the same. The trials that shook the galaxy. The first trial began at dawn on Deep Space Station Alpha. Ambassador Cathvar and Scholar Zixandra materialized in the station's main laboratory, their advanced technology allowing them to observe humanity's attempt at the trial of science. Dr. Marcus Thompson stood before a holographic display showing a problem that had stumped galactic civilization for 10,000 years. The challenge was elegant in its complexity. Design a power source capable of supplying energy to an entire star system without depleting local resources or creating dangerous waste. The hologram showed previous attempts by hundreds of species, all following the same pattern of building massive, increasingly complex energy collectors and processors. The Kythera built collectors the size of moons, Scholar Zixandra explained, her crystal form pulsing with recorded memories. The Vorthek created fusion matrices that required entire planets to maintain. All successful solutions have followed the principle of scale. Bigger problems require bigger solutions. Dr. Thompson studied the display for exactly 17 minutes. Then he did something that made both aliens lean forward in surprise. He cleared the holographic display and began writing simple equations in the air with gestures, using mathematics that looked almost primitive compared to the complex algorithms previous species had employed. "You're not seriously attempting to solve a galactic scale energy problem with basic calculus," Cathvar said, his scaled features showing amusement and disdain. Thompson looked up from his equations. "Actually, I'm solving it with something even simpler. I'm solving it with understanding." He gestured to his work. "Every species that's attempted this trial has assumed the problem is about generating more energy. But that's not the real problem. The real problem is that you're wasting most of the energy you already have." The aliens exchanged glances. "Explain," Scholar Zixandra commanded. Thompson smiled. "Your star systems are already perfect energy sources. Every star pumps out more energy in 1 second than most civilizations use in a century. You don't need to build bigger collectors. You need to stop losing so much energy to inefficiency." He modified his equations, showing an elegant solution that used the star's natural energy output more effectively. Instead of massive collectors, his design used a network of small, adaptive receivers that could adjust to solar fluctuations and redirect energy where needed. "Impossible," Cathvar said. "That solution is too simple. It cannot work." Thompson activated a small device he had built based on his calculations. The device began powering the entire space station using nothing but ambient stellar radiation that was normally lost to space. The aliens' instruments confirmed that the station was now running on 400% more efficiency than before. "Sometimes the best solutions are the simplest ones," Thompson said. "You've been thinking like engineers when you should have been thinking like poets." Scholar Zixandra's crystal form flickered with confusion. "Poets. Poets understand that elegance and simplicity often hold more power than complexity and force. Your civilization has been so focused on building bigger hammers that you forgot some problems aren't nails. The aliens stood in stunned silence as the implications sank in. In 10,000 years of testing, no species had ever questioned the fundamental assumptions of the trial. Dr. Thompson had not only solved the energy crisis, but had revealed a flaw in galactic thinking that had persisted for millennia. The second trial began immediately. Dr. Amara Okafor entered the cultural assessment chamber, where she faced scholar Zixandra and a panel of alien experts from various Alliance species. The chamber filled with holographic displays showing the social structures of every successful Alliance member. The trial of culture examined social stability, scholar Zixandra explained. Successful species demonstrate unified government, elimination of internal conflict, and social harmony through conformity. Your species shows none of these characteristics. The displays showed Earth's chaotic diversity, hundreds of different governments, thousands of languages, countless conflicting ideologies, and constant debate about everything from politics to art. By Alliance standards, humanity looked like barely controlled chaos. Your species cannot even agree on basic principles, added Ambassador Kethvar. How can such disorder contribute to galactic stability? Dr. Okafor smiled warmly. You're absolutely right. We can't agree on anything. And that's exactly why we're perfect for your alliance. The aliens looked confused. Dr. Okafor activated her own display, showing human history from a perspective the aliens had never considered. You see our disagreements as weakness, she explained. But disagreement is how we grow. Every argument, every debate, every conflict has forced us to find better solutions. We don't achieve harmony by eliminating differences. We achieve harmony by learning from them. She showed examples of human innovation born from conflict, medical advances created during wars, artistic movements born from social upheaval, scientific breakthroughs emerging from competing theories. Your alliance species eliminated diversity because it was easier to manage. Dr. Okafor continued. But in doing so, you eliminated the engine of progress. You achieved stability at the cost of growth. Scholar Zixandra's crystal form pulsed with ancient certainty. Conflict leads to destruction. We have maintained galactic peace for 10,000 years through unity. No, Dr. Okafor replied gently. You've maintained galactic stagnation for 10,000 years through uniformity. There's a difference between peace and the absence of growth. She activated another display, showing the creative output of Alliance species over the past millennium. The graphs were nearly flat. Art, literature, music, philosophy, and scientific innovation had all plateaued across the Alliance. When was the last time anyone in your alliance wrote a song that made people cry? Dr. Okafor asked. When did anyone paint something that changed how others see the universe? When did anyone ask a question that hadn't been asked before? The aliens had no answer. Dr. Okafor pressed her advantage. Humans call it controlled chaos. We maintained just enough disagreement to keep growing, just enough conflict to stay creative, just enough diversity to find new solutions to old problems. We've learned to harness the energy of difference rather than suppress it. She showed examples of human collaborative projects where competing groups had achieved more together than either could alone. Your alliance needs this. You need species that ask uncomfortable questions, challenge old assumptions, and find new ways to solve problems you didn't even know you had. The cultural assessment ended with the alien panel in deep discussion among themselves. For the first time in millennia, they were questioning their own assumptions about what made a civilization successful. The final trial was the most shocking of all. General Sarah Kim entered the military assessment chamber expecting to face simulated battles and weapons demonstrations. Instead, she found herself in a room with Ambassador Kethvar and the Alliance's top military commanders. The trial of defense requires demonstration of military capability, Kethvar announced. You will face our standard combat scenarios and prove your species can contribute to galactic security. The first scenario materialized. A massive space battle with thousands of ships arranged in perfect formations. General Kim studied the display for exactly 30 seconds, then did something that left the aliens speechless. She surrendered. "What are you doing?" demanded General Vorthak, a massive insectoid military leader. "You haven't even attempted to fight." General Kim smiled. "I've already won." She gestured to the holographic battle. This scenario assumes that military strength comes from the ability to destroy enemies. But what if military strength comes from the ability to avoid having enemies in the first place? She modified the scenario, showing alternative approaches to the same situation. Instead of engaging in battle, she demonstrated negotiation, misdirection, economic pressure, and psychological warfare. "Your alliance has been preparing for the wrong kind of war," she explained. "You've built weapons to fight enemies who think like you do. But what happens when you face enemies who think differently?" She showed scenarios where traditional alliance tactics failed against unconventional opponents. Every military doctrine in your database assumes your enemies will fight honorably, follow predictable patterns, and engage in direct confrontation. But what if they don't? General Kim activated a series of historical human conflicts, showing how smaller, more adaptive forces had repeatedly defeated larger, more conventional armies throughout Earth's history. "We call it asymmetric warfare," she explained. "You don't win by being stronger than your enemy. You win by being smarter, more flexible, and more creative than your enemy expects." She demonstrated human military philosophy, the importance of psychological operations, the power of unpredictability, the value of winning without fighting whenever possible. "Your alliance has maintained peace through strength," General Kim concluded. "But strength alone isn't enough. True security comes from understanding that the best battles are the ones you never have to fight." The alien military leaders looked at each other with growing concern. General Kim had not only passed their tests but had revealed fundamental weaknesses in alliance military thinking that could leave them vulnerable to threats they had never considered. As the trials concluded, Ambassador Cathvar and Scholar Zixandra found themselves in an unprecedented situation. Not only had humanity passed all 3 trials, but they had fundamentally challenged the Alliance's understanding of science, culture, and military strategy. "This is impossible," Cathvar said as they reviewed the results. "In 10,000 years, no species has ever questioned our assumptions," Scholar Zixandra finished. Her crystal form was pulsing with new patterns, reflecting thoughts that hadn't occurred to her in millennia. "They didn't just pass our tests. They revealed why so many others failed." The 2 aliens materialized on Deep Space Station Alpha for the final ceremony. Commander Elena Rodriguez stood with Earth's team, waiting for the verdict that would determine humanity's future. "People of Earth," Ambassador Cathvar began, his voice carrying the humility that hadn't been there before. "In 10,000 years of testing, we have never encountered a species like yours." Scholar Zixandra stepped forward. "You have not only passed our trials but have taught us something we have forgotten. That true strength comes not from conformity, but from the courage to think differently." The announcement that followed shocked the galaxy. Not only was humanity accepted into the Sovereign Alliance, but Earth was invited to take a leadership role in reforming the Alliance's approach to science, culture, and defense. "We have spent 10 millennia perfecting our civilization," Cathvar continued. "But perfection, we now realize, is another word for stagnation. You have reminded us that growth requires the courage to be imperfect, to ask questions, and to challenge what we think we know." Dr. Thompson, General Kim, and Dr. Okafor looked at each other with amazement. They had come to prove humanity deserved a place among the stars. Instead, they had sparked a renaissance that would transform 500 worlds. As news of humanity's success spread across the galaxy, something unprecedented began to happen. Young beings from Alliance species started asking questions their elders had forbidden. Artists began creating works that challenged conventional thinking. Scientists started exploring theories that had been dismissed as impossible. The galaxy's youngest species had become its teacher, proving that sometimes the most important wisdom comes from those who are brave enough to be foolish, creative enough to be chaotic, and strong enough to embrace their imperfections. Earth had taken its seat among the stars, and in doing so, had reminded the entire galaxy what it meant to reach for something greater than themselves. The age of stagnation was over. The age of growth had begun. And it all started with humans who refused to accept that impossible meant impossible, who saw strength in diversity, and who understood that the best way to join a conversation was to say something worth hearing. The galaxy would never be the same, and that was exactly what it needed.